Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the C-List Villains Podcast, the cultivators of the comic culture. I am your host tonight, Eman, joined by, of course, the most villainous of Red, and two special guests of mine. Introducing Jadrian and Jacob, my sons. Welcome to the show, guys.
Howdy.
So we're doing this again?
We're doing this again. We're going to do it because I didn't put in my 2 cents last night, and I wanted to put in my 2 cents, but there's this family history of the boys and I talking Marvel movies. And honestly, it's been 2 years since we've talked Marvel movies. So what better way to actually do it than on the C-List Villains podcast, you guys?
Yeah, it's good therapy.
It really is. You know, it felt good going back to the movie theater. Jade, when you went back to the movie theater, was there a lot of people?
Where I live, typically, if there's any big movie event, there really isn't that many people, and that's kind of cool with me. But I also like an audience reacting with me. It was kind of awkward being the only one, like, yeah, in the movie theater, and everyone's like looking at me. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
you don't know.
The most reactive audience usually will cheer with you, but somehow they haven't really went to the movie theaters this year.
Yeah, and I
it's been a
feel
little bit
that.
disappointing on the reaction side.
And it's going to take some time before that happens. What about you, Jacob? Where when you went to go watch the movie, was there a crowd or was it pretty empty?
There was a good amount of people in there. Not too much because, you know, it was a small room, barely any seats. But we kind of went a little late, which was good, less people. But yeah, I think my group was like the biggest group there. So it was pretty chill.
I don't know if it's because your voice is already chill or it's that microphone, but man, you sound amazing, Jacob. You sound that's straight up ASMR right there. You know, you could just read the back of one of your Funko Pops and it'd be just the perfect channel for you.
Yeah.
He's all grown up. He's all grown up.
Both of them, man. Jacob's 27, Jadrian's 18. I have men. They're no longer boys. I have men now. Look at them.
They have hair in their balls.
They have hair on their balls.
Plenty.
And everywhere else. Exactly. It's going to be uncomfortable with Uncle Red on here, you guys. I'm telling you that now.
Well, I'm going to enjoy it.
Remember how I met your Jacob there, that, you know, seeing him taking a leak at the fountain. That
was Jadrian.
Jadrian.
That's Jadrian. Don't embarrass him because he might have friends coming, Red.
Well, isn't that Uncle Red's kind of deal right now?
I told them all the stories. Don't worry. I have no shame. I got no shame.
Oh man, you're doing good.
All right, they'll come back on your wedding day.
He's owning it. He's owning it. Oh man, so tonight you guys were talking, and I told Jacob to correct me anytime I mispronounce it. Tonight we're talking Shang Chi, the Legend of the Ten Rings. Tonight, this is the second video because I didn't get to speak last night. I wanted to talk about this, give you guys my 2 cents.
And you didn't want to be doing it alone, so you brought your kids with you. So
and I brought the kids. Exactly. I brought the kids because we wanted to talk about it because it's been a while. So, I mean, right off the bat, it sounded like movie theaters were pretty empty because when I went to the movie theater, I went to the one in Alameda and it was super empty. It was the big one too, the big one. And there was literally about like 20-30 people in there. They were spread apart. So, but getting that crowd reaction during those important parts matters. And I know that that's what makes a movie hit harder, but also we're in a weird time right now. So let's just assume that everyone was reacting the way they wanted to react when the reaction needed to happen. Does that work? How about that?
Yeah, you can't like cheer like you're at a Niner game and like, you know, give off that big woo and because then your spit will just go forward towards somebody in front of you.
Yeah, you know what? That's right. Because whenever
in the age of COVID, that's kind of frowned upon right now.
Yes, that's perfectly acceptable. Well, let's get right into it, you guys. So there's a few things that we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about, of course, the story of Shang Chi. We're going to break down or talk about some of the characters of Shang Chi, and then we're going to talk about the ties to the MCU because this is the second MCU movie. This is the third MCU movie after Endgame, the second one post, or during the COVID time. So it's going to be a little weird, but we're going to talk about all those things right there. So first, let's go ahead and get things started. The story
post Endgame would probably be Spider-Man Far From Home. Then Black Widow, and then this one.
But then Black Widow is pre even Civil War, technically.
After. It was after
Civil War. Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet, but it's not because of
what kind of fan are you?
Hold on. I haven't seen it for one. I didn't want to go to the movie theater just yet. And for two, I know it's on Disney Plus, but it's about to be free. I don't want to pay the $30 now. I really don't. And it's nothing against Scarlett Johansson. It's nothing against anything like that. I just haven't, but I do want to watch it. I'll watch it. I will watch it as soon as it's free on Disney Plus.
Spoiler alert, she dies.
No.
Again?
God, you ruiner of everything, Red, I swear.
Get your line crosser.
Oh, we have some people in the chat. We have Jumpman209. I love Eman. I love you too, Jumpman209. Look, we have also Jumpman209 and that Eman's so sexy. Got to bring that up.
Wow.
Jadrian was like, I want nothing to do with this show right now. He straight up left. No, poor guy. He's probably his internet. His internet.
Oh, there he is.
There you are.
Probably the same issue I have.
Jade, you left when my friend said I was sexy. I think there's an issue there.
No, I saw that one.
Let's all right, you guys. Let's go ahead and talk about the story, man. The story of Shang-Chi was honestly I thought it was fresh. It was nice to see this being embedded into the whole MCU world now. So what did you guys, let's talk about first, what did you guys think about the story? Red, let's go ahead and start with you.
I was really looking forward to a nice kung fu flick. Seeing Snake Eyes before this I was really hoping to like Snake Eyes, but god damn it sucked. It blew. And then Shang-Chi just totally blew it out of the water. And I was quite surprised with the direction that they did with this film, because they somewhat followed the origin of what they wrote in the books, but then freshened it up, because the way it was written, it was really, some of it was racist and kind of putting the character in some kind of caricature, like how they did the Chinaman in Dr. Seuss books. So definitely this is a refreshing take on the character and its supporting cast.
Now, the origin of the story of the main character is definitely changed from the comics. Jade, what did you think of how the origin of this character happened? Because this is slightly different from how other origins in the MCU occur. What did you think about the origins of Shang-Chi?
Jumpman209, open wide.
Stop open it, wide. You two, between you two, stop it. Don't do it, not tonight. Jade, what did you think of how the origin of Shang-Chi or Sean was handled with this movie right here? And that's there you go. All right.
Damn,
come back. I'll bring it over to you, Jacob. So how the way they handled the origin.
Oh man. Man, I could barely remember, but like you said earlier, it was fresh, which was very refreshing. It didn't even feel like a Marvel movie, MCU movie. To me, it felt like a mystical martial arts movie. And I read somewhere, people were like, "Oh, it's like Doctor Strange meets it was like some other
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon."
Yeah, which I was like, "Oh, I could see that." Yeah. But overall, I think I like the origin. I don't know much, or not much. I don't know anything about the character Shang-Chi or about any of the comics, but it was cool going in not knowing about his character, and just enjoying it for what it was. So,
do you feel that as an Asian, as a Filipino, that we have arrived because there's finally someone on the screen that represents us?
Oh, for sure, for sure. I'm glad that the Asian community finally has some representation, in the superhero world in the MCU. So it was nice. It's nice. I think I saw a tweet from Simu Liu who was like, "Oh, when are we gonna have an Asian superhero?" I think
Yeah.
this was back in what 2014,
2017.
2017,
Yeah.
and then here we are.
Exactly. Jade, same thing. How do you feel as being part Filipino, Asian representation? There he goes again. Dang it, Jade. All right, so let's talk about the story a little bit from the very beginning. We see them. They are valet drivers, and that was funny to me. The chemistry between Aquafina and Simu Liu, I thought was absolutely fantastic. We're going to talk a little bit about the characters now. I thought that the characters of Shang-Chi, the chemistry, I felt. Red said it just before I watched it. He's like, it's going to feel very relatable in some instances. And to me, it felt very relatable because we've all had female friends that were absolutely platonic. We've called them sisters, ate, kuya. We've called each other just by names like that, just as because of friendship. Jade, how did you feel about the relationship between Shang-Chi and Katie? Like, did it feel real, like a real friendship?
It did feel like a real friendship. I like how they kind of didn't have them like as was it partners or like lovers, and like how was it Shang-Chi said to Katie's grandma, like when she was like, when are you guys gonna get married? And he was like, no, we're just friends. And I thought that was pretty cool. I feel like we don't need like them to be together yet.
Yeah.
I think they would be really cute together, but as of right now, it's cool how that relationship is right now.
Best friends. I mean, we've a lot of us have it. Good friends, best friends, female best friends. Dude, look, my breast man was a female for my first wedding, so that tells you, the platonic relationships in the Asian community really matter a lot. And I liked how that came forth with Shang-Chi.
Well, look at Peter. He has Ned. Look how that friendship has blossomed.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And that's
exactly.
Filipino.
Exactly. And he could be the next Hobgoblin too. Hey, All right. So let's go ahead and we get introduced to Shang-Chi, we get introduced to Katie moving forward, and then next thing you know, now we're running into people who are trying to beat them up. And I really want to bring up this character.
Wait, before we go there,
Uh-huh.
This is something we already had on a sidebar conversation, but we never really discussed it. Do you find it believable that you have Aquafina, who's from Brooklyn, and Simu Liu from Toronto? Do you find them believable as Asians from the Bay Area? Because I don't feel that. I don't feel that at all. Because I know Asians from the Bay Area are a little bit harder to at least interact with. I must say they're assholes.
Okay, hold on. Look, we do have.
That's not being, that's just out of observation. I'm not being, racist or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely, in order to move the movie, then of course your characters have to play and be relatable to everybody. But as far as like, if you're gonna represent the Bay,
represent the Bay,
be about the Bay.
Yeah. So okay, hold on. So that is a nitpicky part about these characters to me from the Bay Area, right? They didn't feel like they were from the Bay. Aquafina a little bit more, just because she's got that raspy, almost hoodish type, vibe to her, whereas Simu Liu doesn't. However, I have to be able to look past that because it is a movie. I can't expect full-on representation. See, that was my biggest gripe about Killmonger. He's from the town. He's from Oakland, but he didn't act like it. He didn't have that swag. But then again, neither one of these two do either. But they're not here to represent the Bay Area.
That swag came out when he said, "Hi, Auntie."
Okay, that was the only time when that swag came out. But that was it. All right, but Jade knows how that's one of my biggest complaints about Killmonger. But Jade, what do you think? You come out to the Bay enough. Like Uncle Red wants to know: do you feel like Bay Area Asian representation was portrayed well, or does it matter?
It does not matter, honestly, and this is coming from someone who represents it in the Valley. Like it doesn't matter, honestly. Just in my opinion, it's it's their characters. They portray it the way they want to. And I still think they did a great job, regardless if you think they're Bay Area or not.
They're red. It doesn't matter in certain instances. In most instances, it's really not supposed to matter.
Yeah,
and I get
the story
it.
Along.
Yes, exactly. All right. So we had some funky characters in this movie. Razor Fist Hand. I hated him. I hated that guy. What did you guys think of him?
He's another taser face. That's
he was exactly like another taser face.
He's a C-list villain.
Is somebody say villain? Yes, that's right. He is a C-list villain, and he was garbage. I hated him. Move on. All right. What did you guys think of the sister? All right. What did you guys think about the sister, Jade? Oh, really? Okay, talk to me. Why did you hate his sister?
I don't know. It was a little weird to me that the comic relief character had a bigger moment in the story than the actual sister who trained just as much as Shang Chi. I thought she was kind of like bland.
Secondary character.
I don't know. She wasn't a bad character. Just I don't think she's as good as like a lot of people I'm hearing says she is. I was talking to it like with my girlfriend too, and I was just like, she loved her.
Wait. Uncle Red is curious, like, who is his girlfriend?
I've already met her. Red. She's all right. She passes.
All right.
All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't think she was just all that. It's hard for me to like put it into words right now, but I didn't think she was as exciting as Shang-Chi or Katie, to be honest.
Because she didn't really put an impact in the movie until the end. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. She did save Katie. She was important. She saved Katie. If it wasn't for her saving Katie, there would not be a magical ending.
Anyone could have saved Katie.
No one could have saved Katie.
Kong could have saved Katie.
No one would have saved Katie. She was about to die. It was a Black Widow moment when you saw her falling. It was like, oh my God, flashbacks to when Black Widow fell. So if it wasn't for shelling, there would not be a good ending to this movie.
I feel it. I definitely feel.
Did you see the Black Widow in the ring?
I remember. I haven't seen Black Widow yet, but I've heard that there is a cameo of one of the Black Widows in one of the rings fighting one of the extremist guys.
Exactly.
Which extremist guy was it? Was it the main one? Was it Guy Pearce?
Just one random guy that had the same powers because he was glowing. Yeah.
Okay. Now this is a character that I felt was underused and I was really upset with, and that's the Death Dealer, Jacob.
Oh, yeah.
Jacob, talk to me. Death Dealer was probably the coolest looking character in this movie. However, he was totally Boba Fetted.
Because he was Darth Maul.
He was like, I don't know. Like, I feel like if he had more screen time, fight scenes, it would have improved just a little bit. But yeah, I agree. Like, I feel like he wasn't used as he should have.
Yeah.
You know, in the movie. But I also read somewhere, even in the comics, he's like, just a quick show and go.
See, and that upset me because throughout the trailers, I thought he was the main protagonist, to be honest with you. And he had the baddest ass design. Like, I was like, I need to know more about this guy. I want to know what's happening here. Red, what did you think of the Death Dealer?
Underwhelming. Underwhelming. He had a shine at the Fight Club. Other than that, you know, you'll see his little tidbit of how he trained Shang-Chi, you know, in flashbacks. But when it comes down to the rest of the story, he wouldn't have provided anything to move it along. He was just the biggest bad guy next to, you know, the Mandarin. Well,
yeah. Okay. So
definitely underutilized as far as like his skills in fighting.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe there was more, but it got cut out.
Jade, quick thoughts about the Death Dealer.
I thought he was really badass, honestly. And
watch your mouth. Wait.
He's 18.
Wait a minute here. Hold on. Wait. Hold on. Wait.
Be careful how you speak to me, boy.
Okay. Be careful how you speak to me, boy. No, I'm sorry, Bill. Go ahead, please.
Don't worry, I'll get him later for that. Oh, Richard Sherman.
I mean, go ahead, Jadrian. What did you think of the death dealer? Go ahead. Yeah, he was badass, son.
I really agree with Jacob. I just wish he kind of had more screen time, and pretty much everything that Jacob said. Just really cool character, just not enough time to be shown on screen.
Mm-hmm. All right, three more characters I want to bring up real fast. Ying Nan. We're talking about their auntie, like Michelle Yeoh's character. She was wonderful in my opinion. I absolutely loved her. I loved her. The years of the kung fu movies that she's been in absolutely showed in this with her movements, her fluidity. It felt very magical whenever she was fighting or combating. Very much like, okay, we're gonna talk about that too, because I had Avatar vibes out of this movie, to be honest with you.
And a little bit of Dragon Ball.
Yes, exactly. We're gonna get into that here in a little bit for sure, but we're gonna talk about
Did you also get the Kung Fu Hustle vibe?
No Kung Fu Hustle, but the fight scenes were absolutely fantastic. Iron Fist, pay attention.
Iron Fist is supposed to be partners up with
this.
Shang Chi.
Is how it's supposed to look like, you guys. All right. But Jade, going back to you, what did you think of the auntie?
Like he said, she did give off like an Avatar vibe. I really like the movements of her when she was showing Shang Chi, the ways of what they're about, and I just thought that scene was very beautiful. Just the way the CGI was, just the camera angles. I just thought it was just such a beautiful scene. I was just mesmerized by it when I was in the theaters.
Okay, two more characters real fast. Jacob, Trevor.
He's the man. He was hilarious in this movie. Like, I wasn't expecting him to be in it. Like, caught me off guard. I was like, who's this dude in the cave right now? And then he turns around. I'm not gonna lie, I cheered. I was like I mean, he was hilarious. And the freaking what was his name? Morris.
The pigeon pig, was it the chicken pig? The chicken pig.
The double-bootied beast.
Trevor, what'd you think?
No, he's not done yet.
Oh, go ahead.
But yeah, like, freaking this fool was hilarious, especially the freaking battle scene in Ta Lo. I was like, oh, he died. And then
he's like, shoot, I'm acting. This is performance.
I was dying at that part. Yeah,
Jade. Let me bring it over to Jade because we got to wrap this up real fast. Jade, what did you think of Trevor?
Yeah, I thought he had a lot of funny scenes, but with at least Awkwafina, I feel like her comedic relief was like greatly timed. But at times, I felt like Trevor had like poor comedic moments. I felt like
they gave him more shine on the comedy side after they went to Tahoe.
Yeah, I just felt like at some points it wasn't necessary, but he did have some good moments. Especially what Jacob said with when he was like pretending to be dead.
The best.
Okay, look, I'm not gonna lie, you guys. I hated the fact that Trevor was in this movie. I totally did. I was like, oh god. But what I did like is how Shu Wen-woo went ahead and brought up how Trevor ties into this 10 Rings. He brings up the story about an imposter, how they were gonna get him, they were gonna kill him, but they found him entertaining enough to make him the court jester.
And he was named after a Chinese dish.
Yeah.
And remember his story, how he got into acting.
No,
he watched the Planet of the Apes, and he asked his mom,
"Oh yes,
how did those apes learn how to ride horses?"
So dumb, so great.
You got into acting because you thought those were real apes riding on horses.
Yes.
Okay. This is a question that I think should be asked for the world to know, you guys. Quick question for you guys. Trevor Slattery vindicated?
Yes.
Jacob?
Yeah.
Jade?
Yeah.
Oh man, dude, you guys hate me then. Okay, I get it. He did good. Okay, he did good. Now
He
let's go
didn't
ahead
know what he was getting into when he was with the real Mandarin, right?
with
And
yeah.
yeah, so he was just brought into that to act the role,
Uh-huh.
and that was his main thing. His main deal was, you'll get paid just to act this person. That way, we can create this mass panic for Iron Man 3. And then again, here, all he did was act and move the story along.
Exactly. All right, let's go ahead and bring it back to the story here. We're talking Shang-Chi. We're talking about he's got to go from San Francisco to China. He's got to face his dad. Something's going on.
No. San Francisco to Macau, then Macau to China.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Then Talo.
Macau. Yeah, into Talo, right? Okay, so unrealistically, what I hated is that they went ahead and bought a ticket on a valet's payroll just like that, and they didn't need no visas to get into China. That was highly unrealistic, and that's probably the worst part of this.
No. They flew coach, and you don't know how much money that Shang-Chi really has. He's still repping that spy life, because he still got sent over to San Francisco to go kill somebody, which he never followed through. So he still has his resources.
Okay. So Shang-Chi still has resources. Okay, I get it. Now, honestly, the overall story of a man discovering who he is, needing to go back to face the man he wanted, who wanted him to be an assassin. This is a son who's facing his father, in like a classic father versus son story right here. One thing I liked about the story of Shang-Chi is that it felt very much like a Chinese fantasy with Chinese lore, with a lot of Chinese characters still having that Marvel magic, so that it makes the fans of the comic book movies want to come by and watch it. And then also it introduces Chinese fantasy to the Western world, to people who don't normally watch something like that, because there was a beautiful blend of some of the Chinese like folklore characters embedded when they were in Tao Lo. And I loved that about Shang-Chi. So the overall presence of Shang-Chi, I thought, was absolutely wonderful in this corner of the MCU.
Boys, would you fight your dad if he became a bad guy?
Yeah.
I would expect you to fight me if I turn bad for whatever reason. If our principles don't align and it's that bad, yeah.
I'll buy a ticket of that.
I absolutely overall I absolutely loved this movie, though I have some nitpicks about it, mostly about the characters. Razor Fist sucked. Bad. Death Dealer died, super early, and that was just such a waste. Death Dealer was probably one of the coolest parts of the trailers, and he was just such a waste.
Epitome of Death Dealer and Razor Fist are the epitome of a C-list villain.
I would probably put Death Dealer B-list, to be honest. To be perfectly honest,
if he had speaking parts, but
yeah. Well, look, Snake Eyes. The sister. Her story was quite intriguing. Jade, you didn't like her. I actually liked her a lot. Her story was awesome, where she pretty much trained herself, watching their father train their brother, train herself to become what she needed to be for her. And she even said it in the movie. If my father's not going to let me be a part of his empire, I'm going to make it an empire for myself. And I loved that about her. And that's why I find her quite intriguing. And what I like about both Shang-Chi and Xialing, no one has special powers, even though both of their parents have special powers, which was crazy to me. So I'm wondering, are they going to have powers unlocked later on as they dive deeper into their own story? Which I think is important. I think should happen. Red, I see you thinking. What do you think?
The wheels are turning, but the hamster's dead. No, okay. Yeah, they already have superpowers because being born from one race from a fictional world, and then you have an immortal as their dad. stuff goes down the DNA and passed on to the kids. You figure they're gonna get something out of it, and then it should unlock later.
Mm-hmm. So
definitely, because you saw how he managed to airbend.
Yeah.
And then at the end, at the fight scene where he managed to have a Kamehameha.
Oh, he did
with the rings.
Yeah. I honestly, to me, that was more of a Hadouken moment because I did see the Kamehameha too. No, I see the Kamehameha too. But to me, as a Street Fighter fan, it seemed more of a Hadouken rather than a Kamehameha. But I get it. I see what you're saying. Nice. No, I get what you're saying. Okay, the overall story basically is a son and a daughter trying to stop a father from breaking his mother or their mother out of a certain prison. Now, the story...
He just can't accept her death. That's what it is.
What was that?
He just couldn't accept her death.
He couldn't accept her death.
Because it was his fault that she died in the first place.
So here's the question then that I want to know. Is he a bad father and a bad husband for trying to follow his heart? Because he didn't seem like he was a real bad guy throughout the movie. Like, you had glimpses of him being kind of a mobster, but I didn't find him convincing enough to be a main protagonist. Just a man with a broken heart who found a possibility of maybe getting the love of his life back. And that's what he was trying to do. He wasn't trying to take over anything. He was just trying to get his wife back. However, he made some bad decisions along the way. Is he a bad father, and was he vindicated at the end of the movie? JJ.
Very Vegeta-like.
Yeah. Jade, what do you think?
The question was, is he a bad father? Or
is he a bad father and a bad husband for kind of putting the world at risk for trying to break his wife out of that prison?
When he captured Shang Chi, I thought he was going to be like more of a bad guy, but then he told us more of his motives and what he was really trying to do. He didn't want to end the world. He didn't want to hurt his children. He just wanted his wife back. And I understand why people would think he wasn't a bad guy, but in the end, he had to hurt his children. He had to hurt like a lot of people he knew just to have a chance to think that his wife was still alive, that his wife was still calling out to him.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to give him that title, but I think he was a bad guy and a bad father for doing that to his children.
Jacob, so Xialing, she was the sister. She hated her brother for leaving, for not coming back. They finally found each other. They got back together. She fought against him. Then she fought alongside him. Do you think that her motives throughout the whole movie, do you think that she had the sight finally facing her dad and maybe taking over? Or was she actually out side by side with Shang-Chi to try to stop him from damaging, everything on Earth?
I feel like, she had every intention of fighting side by side with Shang-Chi to stop their dad. But I think she took total advantage of, Mandarin dying, or their dad dying, and then taking over his empire like that. She took total advantage of that. Oh, by the way, now that we're back on Xialing, she reminds me of Sharon Carter in Falcon and Winter Soldier. She gave me that vibe.
We'll get into that here in a little bit. We'll get into
that
a little bit.
The character that felt slighted and screwed over by the people that she trusted.
Yeah.
And that's why she's coming onto her own. That's why that empty seat at the 10 Rings was for her to grab.
Yep. So, Red, what's next for Shang-Chi?
What's next for Shang-Chi? Well, we saw the bonus footage at the end where Shang-Chi and Katie are officially Avengers, and they are currently researching the origins of the 10 Rings and what they are made of. And then we get to see a little bit of what's going to happen with the 10 Rings, like we said, where she's completely taken over, which we'll probably see that happen again through a Falcon and Winter Soldier, that maybe she's the main, I guess, contributor or the main money behind Sharon Carter. That's how she's been.
There's a good theory right there. Yeah, let's talk theories.
Yeah.
Let's talk theories.
And who else is that one person that that picked up the John Walker, the Captain America. I forgot her name, but she's played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Oh, her. She's supposed to be Miss Hydra.
Yeah, but I think
Madam Hydra.
But she might be also working with
Xialing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So ties to the MCU. We definitely saw Wong. Wong was fantastic in this movie. I absolutely loved him. And we get confirmation finally. I don't know if it's a final confirmation, but or one of those things that it's one of those things we've already known, but it was confirmed that the Edward Norton universe of Hulk is definitely a part of the MCU because we saw Abomination, right? Which was something that was already spoiled to us, but now we have Abomination. Now we have, the world growing within the MCU, or at least being verified.
Tim Roth did voice it, and he was uncredited for that role. But you will see him in She-Hulk.
Yep, I saw that. So now that we're starting to open the doors to the future of the MCU, we're getting glimpses of what's coming next, which is great. And I love the cameo from both Bruce Banner and Captain Marvel. Here's the question to you guys. Final question before wrapping everything up. What was that beacon? What do you think that was? Jade.
That's a good question. I'm actually not sure what that was.
Jacob, what about you? What do you think it was? The beacon that was inside one of the rings. Was it inside? It was inside one of the rings, right? Because they were trying to find the origin.
Yeah. I'm not sure because Carol says it's nothing she's ever seen, so it can't be Kree, it can't be Skrull. Maybe it's related to the Eternals. I don't know.
Red.
Got my name already?
Huh?
Got my name?
Jay, Red. Hold on. June, wait.
All right. Well, what I know, what I don't know, what I predict, it's gonna be. It was part of the TVA and how everything branched out.
Okay.
All the timelines have now set free.
All right. My theory is that it has something to do with the Celestials, since we have the Eternals coming in, and I think it's directly tied to an Eternal, because if Captain Marvel doesn't know anything about it, and yet we have the Eternals and the Celestials coming, I'm sorry, I said Eternal. I think it's tied directly to a Celestial. That's something that Captain Marvel won't know much about. And possibly, now this is just me talking out of my ass, so possibly setting up maybe a Galactus Silver Surfer in the near future.
Possibly, but we still have Kang.
Yeah, we still have Kang coming. Yes, but thinking even further, how Kevin Feige is. He's setting the breadcrumbs now. It could be tied to a Celestial, and that's what I think it is.
Okay, they're not going to go to Phase 5, where he's still setting up everything else.
Phase 4. Exactly. We're seeing something in Phase 4 that's going to come out in Phase 6, is what I'm thinking.
The question is, why did the beacon go off only when Shang Chi put him on? How come after all those years of Mandarin using it, it only went off when his son put it on?
I'm thinking just, I'm a very in your face kind of a person. So I'm thinking it's just because it was the changing of a guard. It's probably letting the person know on the other end of that beacon, like, hey, the old person is not in charge of that anymore. There's someone new, maybe as a warning, or maybe just as a piece of information.
I kind of have a theory. Like, the narrator in the beginning was saying that, the Mandarin had bad intentions to use the rings for evil, while Shang-Chi has the intention to use them for good now. So maybe the beacon only went off because they're only going to be used for good now. I don't know.
Hey, that's actually pretty valid right there. I'm not hating that idea. That's actually a really good idea. Anything to add to that, Jade?
No.
Red?
Possibly. I like that idea.
changing of the guard.
But we're just speculating here.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that happened between Disney Plus shows and now, and maybe it'll coalesce in Spider-Man movie this December. So maybe we'll look into it more. Oh, and then the Eternals movie.
I'm looking forward.
Because there's a big event in that Eternals movie that might have to do something with it.
We're gonna get to know one of the Celestials a little bit more, and we're gonna get the Deviants, because that's the only reason why the Eternals even came, was because the Deviants are now involving. So I'm looking forward to the Eternals. So we'll talk about that when that comes. All right, let's talk about grading. Red, I know that you had a grading for this. We're gonna talk what your guys' own grades are, and we have a certain way of grading, but you know what?
Okay. We have that new one last night too. The other grading.
I forgot which one that was. I don't think
it was on the grading of Chinese food.
Oh, that's right. No, we're not going to do that, Red. We're not going to do that.
Let's do it. That sounds fun.
We're not going to do it on the grade.
We'll base it on Panda Express.
No, we're not going to base it on
Panda Express is what we know. No. On the menu of your favorite food, where does it land?
No. Jacob, on your own rating, rate Shang Chi.
I'll give it a 8.5.
8.5 out of 10. All right, yeah. Jadrian, what about you?
Give it a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was really good. Red.
My score was 9.0 last night. Yeah,
9.0. Comic book grading 9.0.
Yep, comic book grading 9.0.
Comic book rating, I'm probably going to go 9.6. And the reason for that is because a 9.6 is kind of like an 8 out of 10. And the reason why is because a lot of the characters, number one, didn't matter. I hated, they were misused. One of the characters was we weren't sure if he was a bad guy or a good guy and see what his intentions were. It's mostly revolved around the characters. However, the overall movie as a whole, bringing in Chinese fantasy, Chinese folklore, and introducing it to the Western world in injecting that Marvel magic is where the heart of the movie really is. So to me, I'm going to give this movie a 9.6.
Okay.
That's high.
All right. I like that right there.
That's it right there.
You think that Marvel, not much Marvel, but Disney, did they learn a lesson as far as like releasing this just solely on theaters versus what they did to Black Widow and having to release it on streaming and theaters?
It sucks because I understand what Disney was trying to do, and I understand Scarlett Johansson. If Disney had waited just a little bit longer and released Black Widow when Shang-Chi was supposed to be released, again, trying to push things out, because we weren't sure what's going to happen with this pandemic. People are starting to get vaccinated. People are starting to feel a little bit more comfortable going to the movie theater. So yeah, right now is a good time to put a movie out. A movie like Shang-Chi, which is kind of like an unknown, kind of like we're not sure if it's going to do good. Let's go ahead and put it out there. They gambled and they did right. With a big star like Scarlett Johansson, they gambled and they went bad. So it's placement. It's because of the pandemic, and it sucks. I was hoping that I can watch Black Widow in the movie theater, and I would have waited until this weekend to watch it, to be perfectly honest. I really would have. I don't think that's the way to go. It's not fair to the actors who put their heart and soul into this. It is not fair to the fans who really want to enjoy a big movie like this in a big movie theater with big movie theater surround sound.
Well, when you have a big name like Marvel and Disney, it's automatic that they'll gain money. But they should have just let it solely stay in the theater and not go into streaming right away.
I'm hoping that Disney can work with Marvel and Scarlett Johansson and get her paid fairly. Fair, absolutely fair. Maybe a little bit more. Just look, I know it sucked. Like, we had to put this on hold because of the pandemic. But again, I don't know how good or how bad the movie was either. So that's another part of it also. We'll see. That's another thing. All right.
Black Widow was great.
All right. Any final thoughts, you guys?
Oh, did you guys catch the Easter egg? Well, not just Easter egg, but a cameo from somebody from Kung Fu Hustle?
No, I didn't.
All right. Do you remember the rubber band who is the husband of the The
Smoking lady?
Banshee. Yeah, the smoking lady.
Yes.
Okay, the Rubber Man.
Uh-huh.
He plays the main archer at Ntalo.
That is him, right? The one with the really small eyes.
His name like Guang or something.
Master Guangbo.
Yeah,
Guangbo.
exactly.
That's where he's from. I was looking at him. I was like, "Why do you look familiar?" That's right. He's the husband to Angry Smoking Lady in Kung Fu Hustle.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Jade, final thoughts, Shang-Chi?
Jacob knows this from me personally, but I love dragons, and I love like when the dragon showed up. It was that CGI was so beautiful.
We didn't even talk about that final fight. That final fight was fantastic. It really was real fast. The final fight was really fantastic. It was very, very video game-ish, and it was very fantastical in a sense that you had the good spirit versus the bad spirit come out.
Yeah, but a little corny when the other side had to join them to fight.
I agree with that.
Including Razor Fist.
Come on, guys, join us. We can together.
That part was pretty bad.
You have to fight together to win.
Okay.
Overall, that fight. Let's not include them. Let's just talk about the dragon and the main one.
Did you get Pokemon vibes when they entered Talo?
Yes, when they entered Talo, I got Pokemon vibes, and then I got Spirited Away vibes because that dragon, right? That dragon was totally the Haiku River. Yeah. But that's what I loved about it, because they brought out what a dragon in Eastern culture looks like.
Yeah. But that dragon was never in the books. That dragon was created for this movie.
There was a lot of things created for the movie. The father was created specifically for this movie.
There was always the father, but they changed it because, like I said, from the books, it was just a racist caricature of what a Chinese person.
Fu Manchu. Yeah, that was all bad. Now, like, you look back at it, you're like, that doesn't fly.
Yeah, he had Killmonger vibes, so he had good in him, and then it was a tortured soul that needed to get something done.
Yep. All right. Well, that's it for this episode of the C-List Villains podcast. Thank you to everyone for watching. Jacob, Jadrian, thanks so much for hanging out and talking with us and hanging out, man. I appreciate you. Red, thanks for jumping on tonight. And to everyone out there, make sure you guys follow the C-List Villains on Instagram. We have the C-List Villains and the C-List Villains podcast. Make sure to follow Luke Weeks at Luke Weeks. Follow Red down there at C-List Villainous Red. Make sure to follow our host, our trusty leader, AJ, the comic collector, on Instagram. Make sure to follow me, C-List Eman. I have my Instagram and I have my YouTube channel. Go follow me.
This weekend we are going to be at Rose City Comic Con in Portland.
That's right.
Booth 858.
Right there, RKFA booth at Rose City Comic Con, booth 858. Nice. That's right. Go meet Red. Go meet Luke. They're going to be there, you guys. Hang out with them. Ask them questions. Red single ladies. Just letting you know. Just throwing it out there.
Miss So available?
We got to ask Miss So directly, So. All right. And that's it for this episode. Again, thanks everyone for showing on. Until the next issue.
I love you 3000.
Deuces.
Thanks again for listening to another episode of the C-List Villains podcast, your cultivators of the comic culture. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and email us at clistvillains@gmail.com. You can also leave us a voicemail or text us at 209-975-7597. Be sure to join Luke Week's Facebook group, Rare Keys and First Appearance Comics. And you can follow us on our 2 Instagram accounts, C-List Villains and C-List Villains Podcast. Lastly, follow the villains on their separate IG accounts, at Luke Weeks, at C-List Villainous Red, at C-List Eman, and I am at AJ the Comic Collector. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you all next episode.